Now let's discuss about the very interesting topic and very famous topic that is data clean rooms. It's the native data collaboration solution between multiple parties without even directly exposing the raw data. And it actually allows the organization to combine and analyze the data sets within a governed environment to gain insights while ensuring the compliance with privacy regulations like even GDPR or HIPAA or CCPA. For example, there are two companies. First is Xbox and second is Epic Games. As you know that both of them are competitors, but they still wants to know how many users have both Epic Games Pass and as well as Xbox Pass. With only one side of data, they can't know, right? They can't know that how many of users of Epic Game is also active users of Xbox and vice versa, right? So what they will do, they will create a data clean room, okay, and using this Snowflake service, they can get to know about all these overlappings, that which users are having both the accesses, and even they can get to know about collaborative trends, and they can also know like how many users are premium users on both the platforms. This is how even they are competitors, they will still do a handshake, and they come together in a data clean room, and they do a collaboration to know about the statistics and the trends and also the users overlapping data. Cool. Without even exposing their personal data. Okay. If we go to the definition, so data clean room are configurable isolated Snowflake environments where collaborators can import data, specify what queries can be run against that data, and configure data protection settings such as differential privacy and specifying joinable and projectable columns. Okay, so access to the clean room is by invite only. Very important. The Epic Games can create a clean room, but Xbox can never be able to access the clean room until unless Epic Games invites the Xbox to that clean room. The key concepts involve secure collaboration. Data never leaves the owner's environment. Instead, the analysis is run within a secure, controlled space where only aggregated, privacy enhanced results are returned. Second is consumer and provider roles. A data owner is a provider who sets up the clean room and defines the rule for the data usage. An invited party is a consumer who can run approved analysis on their data. Okay. Third is access control and policies. The provider strictly controls what data is accessible and what type of queries can be run. Okay. Using predefined templates and policies like join policies or column policies or aggregation policies or even differential privacy. Okay. Fourth is no code UI and developer APIs. The coolest part of Snowflake Data Clean Rooms is that the solution supports both non-technical business users via web UI and developers via SQL APIs, and Snowpark for building custom solutions and machine learning models. As we discussed, Snowflake Data Clean Room is a controlled environment where multiple users can analyze combined data sets without exposing their raw data to other competitor. This diagram clearly shows and demonstrates that there is a party A and party B, and they had created a data clean room where they are securely collaborating and getting the insights and getting the overlapping data. The common use cases involve Snowflake. Data clean rooms are used across various industries, especially for the scenarios requiring sensitive data analysis, like advertising and marketing company, marketing campaign performance, optimizing ad spend, and building look-alike audience without sharing user level data. Second is healthcare. It actually helps them in accelerating drug research by enabling secure data analysis between labs and healthcare facilities. Personally, this I had used previously in my organization. So we had created a data clean room, and there we was collaborating with other companies to get the insights on the drug research and all these injections. And third is financial services. This is improving the fraud detection models and credit scoring while safeguarding the customer data. Cool. Snowflake Marketplace is where you can explore, access, and provide listings to the consumer. You can also use the Snowflake Marketplace to discover and access third-party data and services, as well as market your own data products across the Snowflake Data Cloud. This is pretty much about Snowflake Marketplace. There is nothing much covering to cover here. Next up is data exchange. Data exchange provides a data hub for securely collaborating around data with a selected group of members that you invite. It lets you as a provider publish data which can then be discovered by consumers participating in your exchange. With data exchange, you can easily provide data to a specific group of consistent business partners taking part in the data exchange, such as internal departments in your company or vendors, suppliers, and partners external to your company. If you want to share data with a variety of consumers inside and outside of your organization, you can also use listings offered to specific consumers or publicly on the Snowflake marketplace. So basically, whenever you have to share the data either within the organization, outside of the organization, within the same cloud provider, outside of the cloud provider, there is one option which is valid for every kind of scenario, that is listing. You can create the list and literally you can give them to anywhere. So this is what majorly is data exchange. Snowflake also focuses a lot on data listing in data exchange. Next up is configure shares, account parameters, and privileges. In that privilege chain, in order to share an object, the provider role should be account admin, or at least the role should be having the create share privilege. Okay, and once any of this is valid, we just need to grant the usage on database and schema and select on the table or view to the share which we are having. There are critical account parameters. First is data retention time in days, and I guess you already know that what this means, but just to give you gist, if you drop a share table, it disappears from the consumers instantly. Ensure retention is set high enough on the source table to prevent any kind of accidental outages. Second is share restriction. You can restrict which regions or accounts can view your shares. Next is security patterns for data sharing. First pattern is secure views, and this is non-negotiable, guys. Whenever you are sharing the data, you need to ensure that you are only creating secure views. Standard views allow a user to run that DDL function and they can literally know what is happening under the hood. But secure views eliminate this thing and they don't let the consumer to see your DDL, and the consumer can just run the view. They cannot just see the under the hood working scripts and the joins and the tables used and the filters used. Okay, so the pattern is always use create secure view for sharing. It prevents the consumer from seeing the underlying logic and stops a certain query optimization that could leak your data. Second is row level security. This is a massive one. If you have one massive sales table but you want 50 different consumer to see only their respective data, you can use a mapping table, and you can again create a view and you can create a mapping table and you can join them based on the roles. In that way, it will ensure that only respective consumer can see the respective data and nothing more or nothing less than that. Next up is outline the purpose, benefits, and capabilities of the multiple data sharing models. So I had divided into three things: method, purpose, and key capability. The first method is data sharing. It is one-to-one or one-to-many sharing within the same region. Okay, data sharing is only for same region. The key capability here is it provide instant access to the provider's metadata, zero storage cost for the consumers. Next up is data marketplace. It is a publicly listing data sets for many consumers. The key capability is you can monetize this, you can use that for automated discovery, and it is a very simplified way to access the data. Third is private exchange. It is the walled garden for the specific group of partners. The key capability is branding, custom memberships, and centralized auditing. And last one is readers account. This is for sharing with the non-Snowflake customers, and provider is responsible for compute and storage, and every billing is tagged to the providers. Last one is cross cloud auto fulfillment. Auto fulfillment is the managed service layer on top of application. Auto fulfillment automates the global data mesh. When a consumer in the different cloud or region requests data from your listing, Snowflake automatically creates a hidden replication group and it replicates the data to that region, and it keeps the data in sync based on the freshness goal. It is a fully managed service provided by Snowflake. If we talk about checklist for auto fulfillment, the cost factor is a big one here because the providers face because If we talk about the checklist for auto fulfillment and cost factor, the provider pays for data transfer and the storage in the remote region. The minimum addition required here is business critical or higher. This is often required for certain failover or failback replication features, but standard cross cloud sharing is available only via listings. Third is efficiency. It only replicates the data once per region, regardless of how many consumers in that specific region gets the data. This is again a fully managed service, closed cloud auto fulfillment, and it is useful when you have to share the data without worrying about underlying scripts and without you personally taking a lot of overhead. With that said, we had covered lesson 2.2 as well. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.